All right, I've got everything ground off, all the pins. Got the after I did the grinding, where I stopped the grinder, I just peeled all this back with 80 grit just to be able to feather this into DA scratches and not these coarse grinder marks. I'm going to build up this edge, not inside here, but just out here. Build it out this way away from the panel. And then this will be fiberglass. I'm just going to fill that in, and I'll sand most of it back off, but I'm going to give myself enough to build it up to where I need to have it, and then I'll finish it off with regular filler. Come back with 180. When I finish that out, blend all this down with 180, and then 400 a little further out. And same up here. And prime this area all the way down, and probably a little bit onto the rocker, and up into this area will be primer. I'm going to get some body filler mixed up. This is the fiberglass reinforced Everglass. This will be my base layer. That'll fill in that tiny pinhole there and give me just a base to work with. Then I'll put regular Evercoat Quantum 1 on top of that. Alright, I'm getting ready to paint the left side of this thing. I've also got the fender on the rack over here so I can do the jam on it. I didn't want to mount it. It's better to do it off, that way I can get the whole thing at once. And also there's not so much to do on the car all in one shot. Got foam tape in the fuel door area. I've wiped it down a few times already, but I'm going to do it 2 more times before I actually start spraying here. Got foam tape all the way down through the jam, all the way down the rocker, and all the way up here along the roof rail, just to give me a soft edge underneath here where the gasket sits on the door. And I got a little repair here. I'm going to have to put a little color down in here too where I had that epoxy. It's not going to be seen, but I want to at least run the color over to overlap this edge of the fender. When it sits in there, we'll have color behind it where you can't see any primer. So I didn't tape it off, just right behind here. This is all 400 grit on the doors. And this back here is 1000 grit, and finish that off with a real fine rub with a red Scotch-Brite. The gray pads just seem to not cut near as fast. And if you rub this really lightly, it'll dull it without putting too deep of a scratch in it. You can clear over and it won't show. I'm going to put sealer over just the doors and that part of the quarter or so, and a little bit on the front there. So what I got to do is to keep getting sealer on the quarter panel, I'm going to have to run a sheet of paper all the way down the quarter to cover it up. I'm going to make my passes along the doors with the sealer. When I get halfway down the door on the back here, I'm going to pull the paper off and then go over the quarter and the rest of the doors like this, so that I get sealer over this area, because this red's not going to cover that gray very well. So I'm going to have to get it in a value shade 7, which is just about like that. It's dark gray. And at the same time, I'll start here with the sealer, and then I'll go all the way down the doors, and I'll rip that sheet of paper off and finish the bottom half, and that way I can overlap the quarter back here with my sealer. Won't be any sealer up here. But before I do anything, I have to put on the clear adhesion promoter for the blend area, so I'm going to coat the entire quarter panel all the way down the rail with that, and I'll give that a few minutes to dry off so I can put paper and tape over it without lifting it. So that paper's going to go over this area. Once it's dry, then I'll hit this over here with the sealer, and then, like I said, come across the bottom. I'll also be sealing the fender with it. It's got chip guard down to where the factory has an edge where it stops. So when I mounted the fender, I ran a piece of tape along this edge just to mark it, and I sanded up to that area and sprayed rocker guard there. I put some foam tape along that edge of the tape where I wanted to stop it so it doesn't have a hard line in it. So I'm going to seal everything. I'm going to cover that up and all the outside edge of the fender. I'm not worried too much about putting sealer in here, the jam. If it was going to be a color that I'd have to cover up something light in here, like if I had primer in here, I'd have to put some sealer over it to get it dark. But since it's already black, I'm not going to worry about sealing anything in the jam. But I'll do all this in one shot, and then I'll mount it to the car, and that'll leave me the front bumper and the hood to do it another time. Alright, I just finished wiping it down, gave it a tack. I'm going to go ahead and tack it one more time. Got a piece of paper over there on the quarter, on the door, so I can spray this on the quarter and I don't get any buildup on the door. I could get this adhesion promoter on the door, it wouldn't hurt anything, but there's no reason to get it on there. So I've got it masked off. I'm just going to shoot the quarter panel just above the primer, all the way around down to the other edge of the roof rail. as soon as that flashes off where I can tape on it, I'm going to put tape on the quarter panel, just like I've got on the door. Just going to put some over here, cover this up so I don't get sealer on this part. Alright, to save a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and mix up the sealer that I'm going to use here. We're going to go ahead and spray the fender first. And I've got the fender, like the outer surface of it facing the car, so that when I spray it, I'm spraying away from the car, because I don't want to get any sealer back here. I'm going to do my blend. So this is basically blowing it back towards the fans, and it'll keep it off as much as I possibly can. I want to do that with the car just so everything's shot at the same time that's going down the side, so it all match. We'll go ahead and get the sealer mixed. I'll do the fender first, and then that'll be ready to tape on by that time. Alright, that'll be flashing while I tape this off, and then we'll shoot the doors, and then we'll have the sealer done. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tack rag the doors, and as soon as I get halfway down across the doors, I'm going to pull all this paper off and just seal the rest. We're going to have to get sealer down the rocker, even though I really don't need it. There's really no way to get around it on this one. Perfect mix down to the last drop. We'll be back and getting ready for the base coat now. Okay, sealer's flashed. I went ahead and shot one coat on the fender off camera over here. I moved it actually over here behind the car, behind the trunk here. We'll do it over there. I've got some paper on the door there on top of the sealer. I'm going to spray some down in the jamb where I need more color than I need to get on the outside. I got to build up probably 2 or 3 layers inside to cover everything that's in the jamb. Going across it with a couple layers of base is not going to cover it in there enough. I'm going to go ahead and shoot that down in the jamb. Once I get that covered, I'll pull this off, and then I'll retape the quarter like I did with the sealer so I don't start the blend over here until I get ready to. I'm going to color the 2 doors. I'll just pull that paper off when I get halfway down, so I color the quarter down here too where the sealer is, but I'll have to do that between probably for the first 2 coats. Pull it off in between. And on the 3rd coat, I'll do the drop coat onto the quarter, and I'll probably blend it depending on how, or thin it to blend it, depending on how that looks. But I'll get at least 2 coats on the doors and drop coat onto the quarter, and may have to thin it for a little bit further blend. Alright, you can see that I mostly sprayed the back door. I let the overspray from the from the pattern of the gun go into the jam. I don't want to spray directly into it because then it'll build up and run inside there. So I've sprayed mostly the back door where you can see that red mark, and let the overspray go in. Did probably 3 coats in there just back to back. Go ahead and pull that off now. Get ready to mask off the quarter for the first coat of base. Once the base I got on the quarter right here is dry enough to tape on it. I ran out of masking paper right as I pulled a sheet off for this. I knew I was pretty low and I had it on my list to go get some, but hadn't made it to the shop yet to get any more supplies, so just threw some newspaper up there. I'm actually not going to do a second layer of this newspaper when I get done with the first coat because it's going to take that base coat about 20-30 minutes to be where I can put tape on it. So I'm going to get a pretty heavy coat here, but not too wet, just to get some good coverage, and that way the second coat that I come onto the quarter panel with won't be so much overspray on it. Then I'll do the drop coat after that. We'll go ahead and get this tacked off and get the first coat of color on the top half, and then pull this off, finish my way down the doors in the rocker. If you're ever doing this, remember to tack off the area under that paper as soon as you pull it off, because that hadn't been tacked off and may have dust all over it. Recoat the fender, then I'll come back to this. It's the second coat of base. I'm gonna give it about 2 minutes and put a drop coat on it and see how it blends out. Okay, the base coat's finished. Right back in here, I just let my drop coat be the blend. And I don't really see any need to thin it out and come out any further. With it being this dark of a color, I can hardly tell it anyway. Once I clear it, it'll be fine. I'm just gonna leave it like that. This new door skin's looking good. Base coat's not completely dry yet. Probably got another 5 or 10 minutes to go completely flat. And it's 1:35 right now in the afternoon, so I'll give it till about 2 o'clock at least. Come out here and clear it. Here's the fender. It's got the same 2 coats with the same drop coat, so it should match perfectly. Once I get out here to clear coat, I'm going to clear this thing first, put the 2 coats on it, wait about 5 or 10 minutes and move it out there so I can do all this and won't get overspray on it. It's actually ready to clear now. I did it about 20 minutes ago, so I can go back to clear. By the time I do that, I'll be ready to clear it. It'll be flashed enough to clear it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this done. That way that over there, this part can be flashing off while I'm doing that. And then as soon as I'm done with the fender and it's got its flash time done, I can put it out there and this will be ready to go. Get one more coat in a few minutes. Alright, one more time in about 5 minutes, be done. Here's a look off the gun before I pull the masking off. Now this is my economy grade clear, just because I was going to have to use so much, and it is a salvage rebuild. I wasn't going to use my expensive clear. This is just about as good. They both last about the same, I believe. It's just one flows a little bit better off the gun, but this looks perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'll let this sit here for a couple hours, then I'll come back and pull all this masking off so I don't damage anything. I'll get that fender mounted up as soon as I can. Get the door handles and all back in where I get the car sealed up in case it has to sit outside. Alright, I've gone ahead and put the trim back on the left side, mounted the fender and everything, the light. I'll give you a quick look at this. Next thing is going to be the hood and the front bumper cover. Turned out really nice. I'm just going to denib kind of the major spots. There's really not a lot of trash in this. At all. There's one or two in the tops of the doors, maybe. I know there's one back here. Spot right there. We'll denib that. I'm probably just going to focus on this body line and up. This down here looks pretty clean, and I don't really notice anything in it anyway. I don't know if there's anything in the top of that door or not. Probably going to leave most of it alone. Not really worth buffing at all, except for maybe those little spots. Got to block this primer out here. And I may put a little more primer across the front. There's some rock chips in it that I don't really want to just paint straight over. Got the bumper in here. It's not sanded yet, but I just cleaned it. Just need to scuff that with a red Scotch-Brite. It'll be ready to go. I'm probably going to skip the sealer on this. It's value shade 7, which is that dark gray anyway. Not really any point in putting sealer on that. I'm just going to scuff it and put some base and go straight to clear after that.